Hello, I am Martha from Martha Makes Joyful Art. Here I am starting a project, a mixed media project on a 9x12 watercolor paper, and I'm using Craft Smart paint from Michaels, and here's just two different colors of blue. And I started out with a pearl white. I didn't realize it was pearl white, so later on you'll see that I get some regular white. I was wondering why it wasn't mixing very well and making my color lighter. It wasn't making it as light as I thought it should. Anyway, so I'm just doing little crisscrosses, and I'm not being really particular about brush stroke directions here. Later on I smooth it out and just do mostly horizontal strokes, but I just fill it up about a third of the way down, and then I try to get lighter and lighter as I go. And the paintbrushes I'm using, I don't even know. I have a bunch of paintbrushes. I have cheap, I have a few expensive, and I just use whatever I can grab that looks like it will work to get the job done. And so I'm filling in the sky here, and I will stop and I will fast forward a little bit so that I can get this done. Okay, I finished up the sky of my project, and so I'm about to begin the grass portion. So right now I'm just filling in with a dark green. I believe this is a paint that I've had from the Dollar Tree. I don't know the name of it or the brand, but all those cheap paints seem to work really well on this watercolor paper. It's Canon, I believe. And the cheap ones work a lot better on watercolor paper than they do canvas, I've discovered. So I'm just swiping back and forth, getting some dark green color in there. And then I will begin to I don't know what, you kind of blend it up into the blue portion just to make it look not so straight, like horizontal, and make it kind of look like foliage a little bit, even though I'm nowhere near putting in the details. So here I begin to do it here. And here I think is where I may have discovered that I'm using the pearl white. because I wanted to kind of lighten it up a little bit, but I wound up using water more than the white anyway. And so I will pause here and begin to fast forward a little bit so that you can just watch what I'm doing. Here I'm just showing you that I'm working on a mixed media piece and I'm using scrapbook paper. I chose some really pretty Easter colors and Easter scrapbook paper to make my Easter eggs. I just thought it would be fun and interesting, and I'm also one who loves to do mixed media. If I can add paper or something to acrylic paint, I'm happy. It just, to me, is a lot of fun and makes things so much more interesting if you can put some scrapbook paper in the background or somewhere in your piece. And so I just drew an egg shape on the back of some scrapbook paper and cut it out. And so I was showing you there how I was doing that, and then I'm showing you what the paper looked like on the front. The ones on the side are the ones I already cut out. I wound up cutting up 2 purple ones, mainly just to show you what I was doing and how to do it. And then I thought I might use 2 purple ones, but I wound up only using 1. And so here I was cutting it out, and then I lined it up so you could see. I kind of chose what colors would look best together and how that I wanted to group them and see what it might look like when I put it down on my substrate, my watercolor paper. That's I just wanted to see how it would look and which colors would look the best and how I might do it. And I just wanted to show you all of my egg cutouts. Here I am showing you how I've arranged my Easter eggs on my substrate, my watercolor paper. Excuse you'll see the cord occasionally in the video. It's because I was just trying to figure out this new setup and I'm still getting used to it because I don't make videos very often, but I'm hoping to change that in the near future. And here I'm gluing my cutout eggs on to the watercolor paper. I'm using Liquitex professional matte medium. It's acts as a glue. It's originally to mix into paint to, I'm not even really sure what it's supposed to do when it's in paint. Make it a little thicker or thinner or something like that. But anyway, it acts as a glue. I hardly ever use it to add in paint anyway. So here I am deciding how I want to arrange them. I'm trying to arrange them in a pleasing way so that it looks good. You know, there's 5 of them, so I grouped 2 on one side and 3 on the other. I thought odd numbers always look good in art, so I thought this would work well. And so I'm just working here, rubbing. I put some of the medium on the back of the eggs and on the substrate as well, because I find that it seems to stick better for me, and it also makes less bubbles and wrinkles when you're using paper in your artwork. so I will. Oh, and I'm wearing gloves because this stuff is really sticky and it will stick to your hands and it's hard to get it off. I find the best way to get it off is to, when you wash your hands, to rub them with a washcloth. That little bit of friction from a kind of a rough washcloth will help it come off better. It's the same way with acrylic paint too. When you have a lot on your skin and you're trying to get it off, that's the best way that I've found to get it off. And so I will go ahead and let this speed up a little bit so that we can get through this video a little better. It's hard to see here, but I've laid out a dark green, a lighter green, and a white, and I'm kind of trying to mix them up as I'm painting in my grass. I might have mentioned it earlier, but I had used some pearl white and I hadn't realized it yet, so that's why my paint isn't really mixing that well and making lighter colors. But I did all right. I eventually discover it later on in the video and rectify it with some regular white. And so I'm just doing an upward stroke, putting some grass in around my eggs to make it look like that they're sitting in the grass waiting to be found by some cute little kids. And so I'm just going all around. I'm putting some grass behind them, I'm putting some grass in front of them, putting some grass, layering it over them so that it looks more natural. And I'm kind of mixing up my colors, and so I kind of lay my brush down and do a upward flicking motion. I'm not really sure what size this brush is. It's probably about a 4 round, something like that, or something a little smaller maybe. It's just a cheap brush from the Dollar Tree. Sometimes I like to use those. The ones that are blue colored, I've found that they're pretty good. They don't shed, and they keep their shape pretty good in the beginning anyway. They start wearing out pretty fast, so I'm about ready to invest in some more expensive brushes. But for something like this, just for practice and fun, like to record a video or something when you're not trying to make anything serious, I think brushes are okay as long as they're not shedding all over the place. And you can kind of roll them in your paint to get a little bit of a point going. And even before you start dipping your brush, if you will, before you start dipping it in your paint, you can wet it and just pull the fibers with your finger. Maybe even put a little bit of dish soap on there. That will help them stick together a little bit, just for a little while. And it's not a perfect solution, but it works a little bit, just enough to get you by. And so I'm continuing to go around, make a little bit of dark green here, a little white here, a little light green there, and just wherever. I don't really have a rhyme or a reason. Just looks like grass that's kind of all mixed up, you know, little dark here just to give it some depth, a little light here to make it look like it's a little bit closer or a little bit brighter. Maybe the sun's hitting it a little bit. And so I will just continue and speed up for a little while. Ah, now here's where I discover that I was using the pearl white, and as you can see the big difference in the color that I'm putting on here. The pearl white and the white right side by side, so you can see why I was having a hard time getting things to blend and lighten up like I wanted to do. So now I've got my paper turned so that I can get to things better. I have a little bit of a vision problem, so you might see my head in here a lot, especially when I get into doing the details. I've tried to cut a lot of that out, but you know, I'm still learning. Please forgive me. Bear with me. So these flowers, I don't even know what you call them. They're just some form of made up flower somewhere across between maybe a daisy and a sunflower. I like to do realistic flowers, but I don't know. It's just I've got to where that I'm more into fun, quick, and whimsical. Realism for me is really tedious anymore, and I like my art fast and quick so I can be satisfied with it. I lose patience and I get nervous when I do something that's too tedious to me, and realism really is kind of that to me. It slows me down, I guess. I just don't have the patience for it anymore like I used to. But you know, once in a while I might sit down and try to do something. I never really do anything completely realistic, I don't think. But I do something. I have done things that are more realistic than what I'm doing here. But I just like to have fun, make things bright and colorful, and I like whimsical and even childish sometimes, I guess you would say, or cartoonish. I don't even know how to describe it really, but I just like to have fun with my art and make it look as I don't know, I like to give it dimension, I like to give it form and shading and all that, but it's still not going to be realistic. I mean, using paper for Easter eggs, they don't even show how it would go around the egg. You know, like the stripes on the one egg, they would be more curved going around the contour of the egg and things like that. But it's still fun and it still works. And I like it. I really love it. So I've got all my white flowers painted in here and a butterfly. And then I'm going to be painting them in yellow. I'm laying out I have white and two different colors of yellow just to give it some variety. You really can't tell it in the end. They wound up being about the same color of yellow. But now here I did white first because with this cheap paint, it's not going to cover that blue very well. So I just wanted to save the problem of trying to make my yellows cover that blue. So I did everything in white first and then make it so that it will show up. Now these flowers, the one on both ends are kind of like I said, this is a cheap paint, Craftsmart, and it doesn't really have names. But this one is more of a kind of a golden yellow. The one in the middle is more of a, I would say, a lemon yellow. But like I said, you can't really tell the difference when I'm done. That's because I don't think I showed it much in this video, but I go in and with Posca paint pens, and I kind of just clean things up, and like where I might have, the paint looks a little thin, or where I want some detail, I will add it in, because it's easier for me sometimes to get in there with a paintbrush, because I use a small, like 2 different sizes of Posca pens. One of them's kind of a medium tip, and one of them's kind of a fine tip. And so I usually use those to do my outlines and to fill in very small spaces. And like you'll see in a little bit, for my flowers, after I've painted in the centers black, I'll go in with a little bit of brown and yellow and white, just to give it dimension and interest. And those are done with Posca pens. And so after I do my flowers and my butterfly, I go back in my grass and I give it a little bit more. I'll add some white and some yellow and some more light green, just to fill it out and make it, give it more depth and make it and make it more interesting. Here you'll meet Mocha, one of my kitty cats. I'm trying to scurry her away off the table. I have 3 cats. She's the youngest, and she likes to be in the middle of what I'm doing. One of my cats, my older one, she likes to drink my paint water if I'm not very careful, and I forget to dump it out when I'm done. So now I've finished up the centers of my flowers, and I'm painting in my butterfly now. I go in the middle with the black paint, but then later I use Posca pens. I call them Posca, some people call them Posca. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I think that's a little bit too small for me to use a paintbrush. So you'll see me, I'm digging around in my little container full of Posca pens, and I'm looking for my black one and my orange one. And I'm looking for some green too, because I want to do the stems of my flowers with green. That one green, it's a khaki color. No, it's I forgot what it's called, but it's a darker green. It looks really dark, and I wanted my stems to look really dark and to show up well. Oh, I take that back. I did do the wings. I had forgotten that. I did do the wings with orange paint, with a paintbrush instead of the Posca pen. Oh, I've just surprised myself. So I guess it's just, I went in with, to do the black parts of the wings. I did that with a Posca pen, and also the white dots. And I even added a little bit yellow later on, closer to the end, I believe. So, as I was telling you about my kitty cats, I'm a cat lady. I have 3 cats. I have Ashy, I have Rocky, and I have Mocha. Ashy, she is my older cat. She is, let's see, she's 12 years old now. And she does not like to be picked up. She doesn't like many people, but she does love me. But she don't want me to pick her up. She will come sit in my lap. Rocky, he's my big boy, my fat man with a sensitive stomach. He throws up a lot and is bad to get crystals in his bladder. So he's one of my more expensive cats. And then I have Mocha, the one that you just saw. And she's my baby. She's about, 5 years old now, I think. But she's still like a kitten. She's my smallest cat, so I still feel like she's my kitten. Here you'll see me. I am doing like a sketchy outline around my eggs. I don't know, I just feel like with this style of art that I like to do some outlining. I don't really like solid bold lines usually, but I think the sketchy ones look better and it makes it show up better. I guess if I was being more realistic, I wouldn't be putting those in there. But in this style of art, I think it looks great. So here you'll see my head in the way. I guess I forgot. I was trying to clean up. I got some of that black on my egg and smeared it, and I was trying to get it up, but I wound up covering it with a little bit of yellow Posca pen later, what I couldn't wipe up. I like to use baby wipes a lot in my art. They're really helpful to clean up messes on your hands or your table, and sometimes your art too. It doesn't work as well on watercolor paper, but to clean up a mess with a wipe, but it will work pretty good on a canvas. Or well, I guess because it's scrapbook paper is why it was hard to get off. But here you'll see me, I'm putting a little bit of yellow in there, and I think it kind of looks good. It kind of sets it out, gives it a little bit of extra interest and color. And I'm going to have to remember to keep my head out of the way. It reminds me when I was in school, there was a mean boy that always used to tell me, get your big fat head out of the way. I guess he would be useful right now to tell me that. Because I was always front and center in school. I was always the tallest and the heaviest and the blindest. So they had me front and center. And I was always conspicuous and could never get any peace. And even though I sat front and center, I still couldn't see anything just directly in front of me a few feet. So that's one reason why it's a little hard for me to make YouTube videos, because I need things really close up. But I enjoy art. I've always enjoyed art. When I was a small baby, about 2-year-old, my mother said I used to carry a box of crayons around with me. And I also remember as a small child always carrying a pen and a notebook around, because I always loved to scribble, and the older I got, the more I liked to draw. And I always wanted to be an artist, and now I am. I didn't do anything with my art for several years. You know, you become a teenager, you become a young adult, more things are more important, more things are more interesting. Trying to make a life, you're trying to make a living, you're trying to raise your kid. And so art was just put on the side until I was up, let's see, I think I was in my 40s when I picked it back up. I took some classes at Yuba College, were close to where I live. And I just went from there. And I had planned on becoming an art teacher, but it didn't work out. I did get my bachelor's degree, but I never got to be an art teacher. So now I'm a little bit too old to care about pursuing higher education like that. So I find it more fun just to enjoy art, making it. And I sell a little bit here and there. I go to some of the crafts fairs in my area. I go to some of those, and I've put my art up in a few galleries and things like that. And so I have a good time with it. So you see me here just adding some more color and details. I'm trying to make some leaves in there to go with my flowers. I just wanted to say that this painting was inspired by Tracie Kieran of Step by Step Painting. She has a website. I think it's called Step by Step Painting, and her YouTube channel is just Tracie Kieran. She's one of my favorite artists here on YouTube. She has a new video out every Saturday, and I really enjoy her painting style and her teaching style. I've learned a lot from her, and this is not a carbon copy of hers. She did her paintings. I don't think I've ever seen her do mixed media. So, but I saw her painting. It's an Easter painting she did of some Easter eggs about 4 years ago, and it just inspired me to do one of my own. And I thought that doing them with scrapbook paper would be fun, because I have gobs of scrapbook paper because I love to collect pretty paper and do things with it in my art. I also use old books and magazines sometimes, but I just think paper makes it more interesting. And I've always been a mixed media artist and didn't even realize it, because I just started using paper. Maybe I did a little bit in school, not much, but in my own personal art, I just started doing it a couple of years ago when I discovered Karen Campbell. She's another of my favorite artists on YouTube. She does mixed media. And after I started watching her video and learned how to mix things and do it right, I realized I've been a mixed media artist all along, because I never could get one material to do what I wanted, or one medium to do what I wanted it to do. I was always mixing pens and watercolor and just all kinds of stuff like that to get the look I wanted. And when I started watching her videos, that's when I learned what you can mix, how to mix it, like so where you could put something down and it won't come up or it won't smear or whatever like that. So she has something called a hamburger system. So I really enjoyed her work too. She taught me a lot, and it just brought me so much further in my art. And I also enjoyed Jennifer Chamberlain. She has a monthly membership that I'm a part of, and I have learned so much from her too. So you can learn a lot from YouTube. My art has just exploded the last few years, just because I did go to school, but I found when I was in school that they were more about teaching you about materials and form and mediums and like shading and technique and things like that. They didn't teach me a lot of things that I wanted to learn. Like, I remember one teacher was telling me, this will look good like this. And I said, well, I know what you want me to do, but I don't know how to do it. So they don't really teach you how, I found. They just teach you how to do things better, I guess. And I did learn a lot in school, don't get me wrong, but I spent more time writing essays and doing algebra and things like that, which I hated with a passion, blood, spit, sweat, and tears. And so I didn't get to make enough art. But YouTube has been integral in my education. When I wanted to learn how to draw a poinsettia, I come on YouTube. When I wanted to learn how to draw a rose, I came on YouTube. When I wanted to learn the right way to use colored pencils, I came on YouTube. And just a lot of different things like that. And when I wanted to learn to do mixed media, I learned from Karen Campbell and Jennifer Chamberlain. And when I wanted to do acrylic painting in the style that I like, I came to Tracie Kieran. So YouTube has been a big blessing to me. And I hope that, although I don't think my channel will ever really be a tutorial channel, I have a lot I can share and a lot that I've learned over the years in my experience, and I hope I can help someone else. And I know my videos aren't as good as these ladies, but hopefully with practice they will get better. And that's what I want. I want to have a YouTube channel. I want to help people. And I want to share my work and my art and my passion. Sometimes art has been frustrating for me because I've heard people say, oh, that's so relaxing. And I'm thinking, what? What? That was relaxing? That was so frustrating and hard. But I worked through it. And to me, the enjoyment comes from the satisfaction of finishing and doing well and letting go of preconceived ideas. So that is what I love about art. And I find the more art that I make, the easier it gets and the better it gets. And I know I am never going to be a Van Gogh, or I'm never going to be a Monet. I'm never going to be an artist like that. But I'm happy being the kind of artist I am, doing the kind of art that I love and have fun with. And it just gives me a lot of joy in my life and a lot of passion and something to live for and be happy with. So here you'll see I put some white on my eggs and on my flower centers to give them a little highlight and to give them a little shape and a little form. And I added some of the color you'll see on my egg with the chicks. I put a little purple. On my yellow egg, I put a little orange. And on my red egg, I put a little orange and brown. And just made the colors, give it a little shading, give it a little interest, make it look like the purple is reflecting on one egg, or the color is reflecting on another egg. And now here here's where I'm mixing up my green paints, and I'm just adding a little more color, a little more light, a little more dark, and eventually I go in there and add a little yellow. I always love yellow when I do grasses and trees and stuff. To me, it just makes it pop and looks so good. If a painting doesn't have yellow in it somewhere, I don't think I'm happy. And so I think I added a little bit of white too to make up for my pearl white that I messed up. And you'll see later on that I go in and I add some more outlines around my grass and stuff, some sketchy outlines to make it stand out too. I just have to apologize. Earlier in the video, I was just talking away and I didn't realize that they were outside my apartment mowing the yard. So you're going to hear some really loud mowing sounds out there. I really apologize for that. Hopefully I will learn different when I make more videos, which I plan to do hopefully in the near future. Here you'll see me adding a little ladybug on one of my eggs. I thought it would balance out the picture a little bit and make it look cute. And then later on, you're going to see me add some little white flowers in the grass. And I think that just sets it off, makes it look like it's springtime. Some little white and yellow flowers and some butterflies and things like that. So I think I will sign off here. Hopefully you will subscribe to my channel, and hopefully this video did not get on your nerves too bad. I know that I'm still learning, and I know I like to ramble. I like to say too much, I've just realized, but I'm just trying to get my words out. I'm trying to get my thoughts out. And I'm just trying to give you as much information as I can and to share my art with you. And I hope you will like it and bear with me and come back. And I will sign off for here, and I will let you watch the rest of the video. And please, if you're a mind to, please subscribe and like my video. And thanks for being here if you watched. Bye.